Just will share my screen and I'll start with. So there are three components that I need to have in my system to start working with the course. The very first thing is the Python itself. I need to have the language in my system first. So for that I can just get it downloaded from the browser, any browser you prefer. Hmm. Okay. 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 That's great. Do you already have installed Selenium or you are just have to install it? Yes, I'm able to hear you. Okay, that's great. I just wanted to know that do you have installed Selenium also, or you just have to? Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's great. Then we can just proceed further with the topics that I have decided for today to be covered. Then we'll start with that. Fine. Yeah. Okay. 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 See, I cannot guarantee that 6 weeks time will make you equal to the experience of a 2 years old man who is working on this tool. But I'll make sure that whichever basic terms are there on which you need to have your hand on, and they can be like a quick do for a 2 years or 3 years old experienced person to do in a second, that you can be able to do that. I'll make sure, because there are a number of things that we are going to cover. If you can see on the screen over here, you can see the day wise schedule that I have prepared, right? In the day 2 I have my oops concept. It will take around 10 to 15 minutes to cover. After that I'll take on with the Selenium part, where I'll be starting with the drivers part, from where you have to do and everything. Then in the third part I have another topic to be covered, that is for the PyTest framework, which is required because we will be working with the test cases in PyTest framework. Then day 4 for object identification. 2 days I have given for the object identification because it is something that you need to understand first. And from day 6 onwards, you start getting the knowledge of the Selenium commands. You can see over here. And along with the topics that I am going to cover in the course, in the class, meanwhile, depending on that and related to that only, I'm also going to give you some kind of exercises, so that whatever I do, that you can see yourself, and related to that only, absolutely related to that, on some another URL, you practice the same thing. So you will get an idea that what I have done, you will practice that as well. On the exercise, you will put your mind that what can be done over here. Right. So this way you will be able to work with it. Just to make that experience into hand, you need to give a lot of time and practice. You need to look for different URLs on which you can practice and all. That's totally your dedication. Okay, fine. Yeah. It's about the Selenium alone, Selenium with Python. Yes, yes. We will be working with the Git, Grid, Git, Jenkins, all these we will be covering throughout. Once we just cover the basic commands that we need to work with Selenium, that all we will be covering. And from around day around 15 or 16th, we'll be working with the framework. Whichever framework you say, like data driven hybrid page object model, whichever you say out of these, that we will be covering, and they will include the topics like grid execution, git implementation, Jenkins, all that. Okay. Yeah. Your voice is little breaking between. Did you said something? You asked something? I didn't get that. Any questions from your end? You there? Um, Mishika, any kind of questions from your end? You can let me know, or else I should start. Okay. Any doubts from your end? You can ask. You want to ask any question? You can just let me know. I'll clear that and then I'll start. Mishika, your voice is breaking. I could not. Your voice is breaking. You were saying something? Okay. No issues. You were saying something. You just. Yes. See, it depends that if there are more students that are going to join, and in any case you are not able to attend the class, if more students are there, in that case I'm saying you are not able to attend the class for some reasons, then the class will keep on going, and by 12th exactly, by 6 weeks time, it will be getting over, because for those also I have to keep on continue. If you only will be in the class, then in any case you skip the class, you are not able to attend that, you can let us know, and we will be postponing that class to the next day. That what we can be doing. In that case only the extension of batch can be done. Yeah, see, these are the trial classes. The links are sent to a number of peoples. Whoever are going to join for those, the trial classes they will be on the YouTube as well. At the end, whichever person register, those will be in the classes. Yeah. There's there's no issue. If in any case some others also join, they also have doubts, so we have to clear that as well. So that's fine. Okay. So as I as I said that we'll be starting with the OOPS concept first. So OOPS concept is something very important to understand, because people do gets confused when we talk about object and object referencing. At this point, people are really getting confused at some point. If I'll generally just make a module, don't get confused if I say Python file at point and Python module. They both are the same thing. The Python file is the thing. Fine. Now, if I have a module, a Python module, let's say I have the name for this as uh, object, or let's say oops. Fine. So inside this creation of a class and creation of a function, we can see like creating a class is simple. Def, the keyword will be used, the name of that particular class, whichever you want to give, and whatever set of commands you want to give inside, you can give that. And I'll just will have a print statement like this. Fine. Now calling these classes and using them, it's very easy. Just need to use the name of the class that you have given. Yeah, my screen is shared with you. Okay, no problem. So, calling these functions are very easy. Just need to take the name and surround it with the pair of parentheses. No extra columns, no extra things you have to give, unless like another languages. Nothing like that. Now, if I run this, I have my statement printed, whatever I have the code inside the function that's coming up over here. Fine, this was a function. Now, if I talk about a class, inside this class, let's say I have a class demo. And inside this I have a number of variables and number of functions. I have a variable, let's say 10. Now I need to use this particular variable inside my function class, inside my functions which are there in the class, that are class functions, right? So I'll just will go on and I'll say a def, a function I'll be making, and I'll name it as demo 1. Fine. Now as soon as I have completed it with the parenthesis, this self keyword came up automatically. Why it has came up? Because this self is going to help me to access another attributes, like if I have some variables, I have some functions, this self attribute I'm going to use to access them. So if I say self dot a, now this is something that I have created locally into this class function. In this function, using this self dot a, I will be able to perform the actions, and the real value of this a, which is a class variable, that's going to come up from the variable itself, right? I just need to come it over here. I can pass the parameters over here, that is also fine. Otherwise, if I just have to print this a value inside this function, what I'll say self dot a. That's it. It will give me the value of this variable which is outside the function but inside the class. This is the use of my self keyword over here. The same way I may have another functions, like I have a function that is demo2. Inside this also I want to use something, but I have a variable which is inside the class function itself, which is b, which is having the value 100. I'll simply will go and use it. I don't have to use the self attribute. Why? Because it's already inside this. This is locally available to this function. Now if I'll try to access this b variable outside this function, I won't get this. If I say I want to use the b, then I won't get it. There is no b variable that I have. Why so? Because this is a local variable to this function, and this was a global variable for all the functions that are available. A concept of local and global variable exists in Python as well, and this is how it can be achieved. If you want to use this variable globally as well, you need to get it declared over here by saying global b. So wherever you want to use it, you can just have it used. I don't want to go much into this global part right now. What I need to focus on is that what is the difference between creating an object and object referencing. First of all, why do we need object? If I want, yeah, 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 yes, yes, yes. Yes, that is also available, but I just want to show that these local and global things exist in the classes as well. That globally in the module I can have a variable. I can say global a is equals to 10. I can give that. There is no issue. But this way declaration is not possible. A variable is over here global a, and I can access it anytime. There is no issue. Anywhere in the module I can use it, be it a class, be it a function, anywhere. But if it is inside the class, then the self attribute is the thing that is going to help me to access the variables which are the class variables, not the local variables but the class variables. Because people get questions over here that what is this self, why we use this self, what is the use of it, and all those question comes up. So this is the reason why we use it. Fine. Self keyword, yes. Even if I want to just call this function demo function inside the class only, in the demo2 I want to call this demo1, then also I will be using this self keyword. I just will say self dot. You can see the functions, both functions are coming up over here along with the variable. So I can call this demo1 also over here. There is no harm in that. That I can do. So this is the use of hmm. Yes, it's belonging to the whole class. Yes, yes, exactly. Now, what is the need of creating this class structure? Why we will be requiring to use an object over here? People do ask this question as well. Now, I want to call this demo do function over here. I'm not going to create any object right now. I'm just going to directly say execute my demo 2 function. So in the suggestions, I have not got anything. There is no by default function in the libraries named demo2. It's not existing in the memory. Why is it so? Because the scope of the class starts from here, from the line number 5, and it exists only till line number 14. If I'll try to access any of the class variable or functions, I won't be able to directly see it. Only way to see it is by creating the object. Now if I'll create the object of the class, that is demo, surrounded by a pair of parentheses, dot, as many as variables and functions I will have, they all are going to come up over here. I want to call demo2, I'll call demo2. So this is what I get. I get the value of b variable as well, and also I called the demo function inside the demo2. So for that also I'm getting the value of whatever was being given inside the function. Fine. This way I can work with it, and this is the need of creating an object. Now what is object referencing? Over here the things gets confused. This, if I remove, this is the creation of the object. This is not anything but a creation of object. Fine. Now suppose I have another class which is going to store the data of some students. Like I have a student class which is going to store the name of the student, the marks and all that is going to be stored. So I'll have def name. To whenever this function I will be calling, I will be passing a parameter, the name of the student. So I'll have that over here, name, and whatever parameter is going to be passed over here, I want to use it locally in this function as well. So again I will be taking the use of the self keyword, and I'll say self.name is equals to name. Now what this will do is, this was the parameter which was being passed. Using the self keyword, that is going to be available in this function. If I'll directly try to access this name in my class over here, I won't be able to use it. It will give me an error that what is this name or something. So I have to use this to locally use it. Fine. Now one more function I will be making. Let's say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. 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 See, self keyword you don't have to write again and again. It's automatically going to come. As soon as you'll press the key for entering the parenthesis, you'll see yourself over here. I'll show you. Marks. I press the F shift 9 and it automatically came. Right? Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Fine. So this way, in this function also, I will be passing a parameter, that is the marks of the student whichever I'm having, and using the self only, I will be using that marks which are going to be coming up in the parameters. Since they are not doing anything, they are just being stored in the variables, I'll print them. I'll say self dot name. Both of those are coming now. Self dot name also is coming, self dot marks also are coming, because they are available in the same class, right? So I can use them in any of the function which I want. Now I'll create the object of the student class. I'll say student. This my object has been created, right? After that I have two functions. One is the name. To this I'll pass on some name like Ron. That will be stored. Now to pass on the marks also, I need to use the object, otherwise I won't see that particular function. So I'll say student, this object created marks, and whatever marks I want to send, I'll send. Let's say 90. Just wait. Students marks and 90. Now it's going to work fine. There is no issue that's going to come up over here. The issue is going to come up when the memory management is going to come. What I have done is, there is a class, it's way too big. There is a class which is having the data name and marks. What I have done is, to store the names and the marks, I have done this thing two times. These two things two times. So there are two objects that have been created which are hanging. There is no reference that I can use. If I have to use this name Ron data again, I won't be able to get that, right? Because it's hanging. I don't have anything from which I can just get the data out of it. So what I can do, I can just go on. I'll just will have the same command. Just wait. I'll have the same command student this, but this time what I'll do is, I'll just will have a reference that will be made to it. I'll name it anything, let's say S1. So if any time what this S1 will do, in the memory somewhere it will reserve some space, and whichever attribute this student class is going to have, be it 100, be it 200, be it only 2, all those attributes will be available over here. Whichever data I want to store, I can store it in the S1 reference, which is stored at some another location. And when I have to get that data again, I will be using this reference. So this is not an object. Object is here. This is the reference which is storing the data of that particular object. This is the difference between object and referencing an object. So the same thing if I do the same thing, now I create the object student and I will give a reference to it the same way I said, S1 equals to this. Now using this reference S1, I will be calling the functions like name, marks, student marks, whatever I want to use. So I'll have the name over here, which is, let's say, Jerry. And using the same reference only, the S1 reference only, to this particular location only, I will be sending the marks of the student as well. That is student's marks. I can have anything inside, let's say 90 again. So this time it will return me the data of this particular single object which is having the reference S1. This way. Now if it's clear? Huh. New object. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hmm. Yes. Yes, exactly. That's what is the main thing that needs to be cleared in the mind, because people think, yeah, no, 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 continue. Yeah, no, no, nothing like that. We have to do explicitly. We don't have to do anything. Like right now, I have a object student whose reference is S1. Suppose this S1 reference I get pointed to another object of some another class. So whichever object of the student was lying, which was having no reference, that is going to be automatically collected by the garbage collector which is available, and it's going to free up the space which was occupied by this particular object. That basically happens behind the scenes. You don't have to anything delete any of the object reference or objects, never you need to do that. Okay, fine. So this was something that needs to be cleared over here. Likewise, I can create a number of objects, I can instantiate any object anytime, and I can use that. Fine. This was about object oriented programming. Now, coming to the Selenium part, for that I'll just will have a new module being created and I'll name it as basics only, because basic thing is going to be done. Now, in the yesterday class, what we have done is we just checked out some simple things about Selenium. I imported Selenium into my particular PyCharm project and then I just looked it for the version. Now, if you are aware about PyCharm, whenever we are using some external package, we have to get it installed into PyCharm as well. From here in the settings, whichever project you have, that is going to be displayed over here. Like this is coming in the project interpreter by this plus. Right now you can see Selenium is coming up over here. By the time we use more external packages, I have to search for them, I have to install them, then only I'll be able to use them. Otherwise it's going to give me an unnecessary error. Fine. So this you need to do for every external package. Then now this thing we used to check and it was giving me the latest version of Selenium which was installed in my system. I didn't give any version, it automatically installed the stable version and it's over here. Now what I need to do is, with the Selenium, I want to open up different browsers. Now there are a number of browsers which are commonly used, like Chrome is used, people use Chrome, Firefox, Edge. IE is now deprecated, I hope, because no one use it. I also got some news that IE is deprecated, so that will not take in use, but people can use IE. That also I'll tell you what changes we need to make in the default browsers. Likewise, we have Opera and all and all. So I need to open some browsers now. How will I be able to do that? Inside the Selenium package, I have a class which is going to help me to do things. I'll show you. On the official website of Selenium, you will get every single detail, the smallest detail also you will get over here. On the download, in the downloads link, you have to go in the API docs of Python over here. The documentation of all the packages and the classes you will get over in the docs package. Fine. Now over here you can see there is some class like selenium.common exceptions. These all are the classes. Which class I am talking about? That is the WebDriver class. So here it is in the WebDriver.remote class. If I'll open this, it will give me the details of this class. It's a class, it's having this. Inside this class, I have a number of functions which are made. Like how I have, what functions are those? Like this, I'll show you the simplest one. Uh, see, this get function. This get function is to navigate to some URL. Once the browser is open, you are going to navigate to some URL. This get function is going to help you for that. Likewise, when you have to interact with the web page, you need to use the elements. You need to click that element, you need to click button, take type in somewhere or do things like that. So these commands that are over here, find element commands, these are going to help you. And these functions that you can see over here, they are going to work on every browser whichever you wish to open, be it Chrome, Firefox, Edge, IE, anyone, whichever you want. So it's going to go up. Fine. So this is what we are going to use. So first of all, I need to have my Selenium imported over here. So I'll say I actually not have to import Selenium, but the WebDriver class I need to import. So I'll say from import, from Selenium import what? WebDriver. Since it's a class, I have to make the object for this so that I can use it, right? So that we'll come to it in a while, or let's just start. I'll take a variable driver, which will be the reference, and then I'll say WebDriver dot. Over here, when I'll just have put dot, you can see there is functions coming up. These are the browsers which are going to open up. You can see over here this Chrome is coming, Edge is coming, IE is coming, Firefox, Opera. These are classes basically, but I can just go on and directly access them. They have individual classes as well, but using WebDriver I can just go and use this Chrome and close this by the brackets, and that's done. Now if I run this particular module, it will open up a blank Chrome browser for me like this. But this is what is happening in my system because there are the changes being done. In your system, if you will try to do the same command, if you will do this command and you will try to open up the Chrome browser, it's not going to work. Why so? Yeah, because it's going to give you an error because to open up any of the browser, you need to have the drivers of those browsers available into your systems. You need to download them and have it into your system. I'll tell you from where you need to download them according to the versions, which settings you need to do. That all needs to be very careful about. Now talking about Chrome. First of all, you need to look for the version of Chrome you are using in your system for the time. That you can check from these three dots over here by help and about Chrome. It will tell you the version. This is the version. Fine. Now when after coming out of this docs link, I'm out of this link now. Just over there I have the section of drivers. It will tell you that for every browser you want to open, you need to have the driver, and in any case you don't have that driver into your system, you are going to get an error, you are going to get an exception, that is WebDriver exception, and this kind of message is going to be displayed on the screen. Fine. So just to avoid the error, what you need to do is download the driver from the browser provider. For Chrome, here is a link given. Just go to this link, open up in the new browser, and over here you will get a number of versions as per the versions have came up for Chrome. Right. Now you need to look for the version which is there in your system. I have my 86.0.4240. Now Chrome people are very fast. As they release a new update, new version of Chrome is there, they immediately give you the driver of that, and that's over here. The last digits that are like that .22, that doesn't is not that of matter, but the starting should be matching. 86.0.420 should be matching. That can differ. Okay, so you will go to this, and over here you will get a number of links over here according to your system configuration. If you have another operating systems, from here you can get the zip file. Once you get the zip file, you just need to extract the zip file, and after extracting the zip file you will get the exe, the drivers of your particular browser. So over here what I have done is, for extraction I have made a particular folder in my C drive and I have kept them over here. Here is my Chrome driver lying in my C drive in a single package. So now what I need to do is, for what you need to do in your system to open up the browser, you just need to take the path of this, and over here you can take the variable path, and inside this you need to give the path of that Chrome driver that you have just got. So I'll get it from here. Where is my PyCharm? This dot exe. Now just make sure whenever you're passing on some path in PyCharm, you either need to use double backward slashes, or single forward slash will work fine as well. Fine. So my path is given over here. In the Chrome where I'm giving the command to open up the browser, here is a attribute executable part. To this I need to pass the path of the driver which I'm going to access. I'm going to access the path of Chrome driver. Now this thing if you'll do in your system, it's going to work fine and it's going to open up a blank Chrome browser for you like this. Fine. Now in Chrome, what you need to be careful about is that version mismatch gives you an error. Like if I'm using 86 version and my driver is 85 version, it's going to give you an error that the version is not supported. So that you need to keep on looking. If you get any errors like that, update your browser. Update your browser and the driver as well. Sure. Hmm. Huh. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Everything will be covered. Don't worry about that. If you are saying you want to make these drivers generic, see, whenever you are working with the automation team or something like that, no one passes the path like this. No one. Because you do a number of test cases, you run around 10,000 test cases in a day because it's an 8 hours long shift. So you don't pass this path like that. Everyone do the things, either they keep the drivers in the package itself, one thing that could be. Second thing, they add the path of these drivers into the system variables. Got my point? Into the system variables. Once this path is added in the system variables, this will go and this will go as well. And when you have to actually run it from the Git repository, if you have added that in your package, everything is going to be pushed on the Git repository, be it the drivers, be it the logs, whatever you have, they all are going to be pushed. So that is going to work fine. If someone is running, yeah, yeah, that I got your point. But that I'm saying that if you're running it on the individual machine. When talking about the Git repository, you can do one thing that in the package itself, like over here, I have the project over here. Over here in the project, I can keep the drivers as well. I can just go on and I can just paste all the drivers here in the project as well. Right, because if anyone will run it, because by the time, till the time the drivers are not going to be updated, your browsers are not going to update it, you need not to do anything. Right. So everything that will be pushed, anyone who is not even ready with the system, he has not settled anything, not have any browsers with it, the code is going to run fine on Jenkins. There's no issue that's going to come up. Even if someone is pulling the code to edit it, to make it more good, it's going to work fine. Yes. Yes, exactly. You can have any browser driver that you want. You can have any. Even if you want to work in on IE, that's also going to work fine. But IE is having a different system to extract the elements, so that people rarely use. But still, we'll cover that. Yes. See, in Chrome, I don't, in Chrome till time there is no option that you can stop the updates to get them installed automatically. In Chrome, there is no option. For that, you have to update the drivers and then only it's going to work. But in case of Firefox, you have that option. You can stop the updates to get automatically updated onto your browser. That option you have. Just to what you need to make sure is that your default browser which is available in your system, that's having that settings done to stop the updates being automatically updated. We'll talk about that. Will cover that as well. We have just talking about Chrome right now. We'll talk about the Firefox, Edge, IE and all. Now talking about the Firefox. For Firefox, as I said, that we have the option to stop the updates from my end. So if I open my default Firefox browser, firstly I'll be taking a look at that which version of browser am I using. That I will be looking for. From help, I can take the look for that about Firefox and I'll get the version. This is the version. Until time you can see that I am using 79.0. I have not updated it to 81. It has been automatically done, but I have stopped it. How? Just go to the settings over here, on here in the options. Over here you will find the section of updates. Yeah, Firefox updates. Automatically install updates, that's recommended, but you, if you're in automation it, you don't will choose it. You will check for the updates and you will let yourself choose when you have to install it, because the Firefox people are not that fast as Chrome browsers are, that once the update is coming the driver is also released. That's not in the case of Firefox, they take time. So you need to have this option checked. To get the driver of Firefox, what you need to do is again go back to the official website of Selenium, and over here you get the link for Firefox driver also. I'll open up it in the new tab, and over here you get this kind of page where I need to look for in the assets. Over here again I get the zip files. According to the system configurations, I need to get it downloaded. Again a zip file, again the extraction, and I will get an executable file like this named Gecko driver. This is the name given by the browser provider, Gecko driver for Firefox. And the same thing I need to do in my command over here. uh, I have to give the path. I'll take this path. Just the name of the driver will change to Gecko driver, and then I have to give the command to fire the browser. So I'll say driver is equals to WebDriver dot Firefox. Same thing, the attribute needs to have the path that is going to come up over here. So this command will open up a blank Firefox browser for me, the same way it opened up the Chrome. Now Firefox is little delayed when it opens. Otherwise it works fine, but Firefox opens a little delayed, like 2 to 3 seconds delay it opens. So here is my browser open, perfectly fine. Talking about the Edge. Now Edge has been updated, the Chromium based Edge has been coming, and the same way the Chrome works, it comes up. I got some error because I closed it in between, it was still loading, so I got that error. I'll just will let this go right now. Talking about the Edge. Now for Edge also you need not to do any changes. Same thing, need to look for the version, from where version needs to be checked for. Just will open in a while. From these three dots, help and feedback about Microsoft Edge, the version that I've got is 86.0. That's kind of same the Chrome version was coming up, it was around 86 and it's also 86. So this also needs to be updated as per the drivers. So if I'll go back for Edge browser, from where I have to get it, from the same page, this is where I'll get the Edge driver from this link. According to the version that you have, you can get it from here, like 87 version has came, I am using 86, so I'll get it from here according to my system configuration. It's for Windows 32, 64, Mac, and likewise it has. And the same thing is going to happen in the Edge as well. I'll pass on the path. Over here when I'm giving the command to launch the browser, it will change to Edge, and over here the name of the driver will be changed. One thing that you need to keep care of about is when you will get the driver of Edge browser, by default the name of the driver is something else, like it's something MS Edge driver. By default that is the name given to the driver, but you have to update it to Microsoft WebDriver if you want to work with this without giving the executable path. If you don't change the name of your driver, the Edge is not going to open. That's the issue with the driver name only. Just change the name of your driver to Microsoft WebDriver and it's going to work fine. I'll just will get the name of it, and that's done. Now it will open up a blank Edge browser for me this way. Fine. Now talking about Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer is also the same thing that you need to do. The same thing which we are doing till now. We'll be giving the path, and over here when I'm launching the browser, over here it will come IE and the driver from where I have to get the driver. On the official website of Selenium, over here in the drivers you won't get that section. You just need to, you can go to your favorite browser as well and look for the IE drivers. Otherwise on the official website of Selenium there is a section for Internet Explorer drivers, but that is for the Windows part only. For the Windows only it have. I don't know why it's not for another OS. For Windows it has, according to the system configurations one can have this. Fine. Same way, get the zip file, extract it and pass on the path which I have done over here, IE driver server. Take the name, replace it over here, and this will open up a blank Internet Explorer browser for me. Here it's coming. But I am getting some kind of pop-up over here. I'll tell you why I'm getting this. I'll close it for the time. In the Internet Explorer, there are few changes that we need to make in the default browser. So if I'll open up the default Internet Explorer, what changes I need to make? First of all, it's opening, just wait. This IE is very slow. Now over here, there are four things that you need to be careful about. First thing is about the zoom level. If zoom level is anything else than 100%, then you have to bring it to 100%. Otherwise, you will be getting an error. Like if I change it to 125%, now my browser dimensions have been changed. Now if I run this, I might get an error over here. You can see. What's the error? Browser zoom level was set to this. It should be 100%. Fine. So these settings are very compulsory if you want to actually work with the Internet Explorer. Second thing, let me have it to 100%. Then next changes are in the internet options over here. Just go to these internet options. Over here in the security tab. Security tab, there are four different things that you get over here: internet, local internet, trusted sites and all. They have the levelers over here which actually have the security levels. You need to bring them all to the lowest. Whichever is possible, bring them to the lowest. Like I have done over here. It's at the lowest. It has the lowest. It does not have any option, so let this be. These things, then this enable protected mode, by default it's checked. You have to uncheck it so that you can work with Internet Explorer. Once this change has been made in the security tab, then go to the advanced tab. Over in the advanced tab, look for the security section again. Here is the security section. By default, this second option on your security tab, that is allow active content to run in files on my computer, that's unchecked. You need to check that. Second option it will be, you need to check that. These four changes, once they are done, click on apply and OK. Done. Close the default browser, go back onto your IDE, PyCharm, and if you run this time a blank Internet Explorer has came up like this without any pop-up. Fine. These four changes and Internet Explorer is working fine. Now, as you said that one cannot hard code these driver paths over here. So there is a reason why I have kept all these drivers in a single folder, so that when I have to add them into the environment variables, I don't have to give them one by one and then. I'll just will pick this whole folder, and all these drivers that I have over here, they all will be stored in my system. So what I need to do, I'll just will go to my environment variables here in the path variable, edit. Here is my folder name that is given over here. This way only, if you have all your drivers stored in a single folder, you will be having it. Even if you change the drivers in a month or two, you update them to somewhere else, you delete them, all the changes are going to be applied automatically. You didn't need to do anything in the code as well and in the setting as well. Okay, click on the OK and close the environment variables. Then after, what you can do is let go this path, remove this parameter, and just this command which I gave in the very starting, I am back to that command. Run it. A blank Internet Explorer is here. Fine. Now it's like something in some system, what happens is that without giving a restart, the changes got supplied. I have seen those cases as well. But usually the system needs a restart once you have added these drivers into the system variables. So that is also required. Just what you need to do is, now I can just have any of the browser open without giving this path. If I open the Edge browser as well, it will open a blank Edge browser, and also an Internet Explorer will also open because that was not commented. So this way any browser that I want, I can open. Fine. Now you were asking one more thing, that if I have some JSON file or Excel file or CSV file, in that I can store the browser names, and according to their occurrence, it keeps on opening. We can do that. That's definitely we can do that. But for that, there are a number of things that you need to learn first. First of all, you need to learn the Excel reading, the way you read the files. Then you have to know how to set these to the test cases, and that's quite very far from the second trial class. That's very far. I won't be starting it here because you will be very confused between, but that is possible. But for the starting, if you want to just experiment with this, you can have an if else condition over here to start. You can have a condition like, if I'll create one more module named dynamic browsers, then what I can do is I can have a variable browser, and inside this I can pass any variable like Chrome, Firefox, Edge, whichever I want to open, and I can say if this browser is equals to Chrome, then what needs to do? It should fire the command to open up the Chrome browser. This command needs to be fired. Right. The same way I can do it for, I just import the Selenium WebDriver. So if I have it for Firefox, I need to compare that. So I will be using the multiple condition check part over here. That is the elif keyword I'll be using. And I'll say if browser name, browser is equals to Firefox, uh, Firefox, then what it needs to do, it needs to open up the driver is equals to WebDriver dot Firefox, this way. For that you can use a function that is for the lower case. Even if you pass it in the capital or something like that, you can have that. Like right now I'll have everything in small. By mistake, sorry, I didn't get your question actually. Hmm. See, when I talk about passing the variable name over here, we need to be careful about that. That is something that humans need to be careful about. Uppercase and lowercase one can manage because there are functions to ignore that. One can have the uppercase and lowercase functions called over here. But if you say that you want to open up the Google Chrome and the condition is looking for Chrome, then it will give you an error that there is no such condition found. So over here that you need to look for. Even if you can say you can replace the hard coding, you can just have that whatever is in the files, that only needs to be checked over here. But that I told you, right, it's very far. We will do that. We will do that as well, that how to just be careful about that. But for the time I'm only telling you that if you want to play with the browsers and by only one script you want to run it on different browsers, how you can do that, what can be the workaround for that. Talking about what you are talking, that's very far. Seriously, it is very far. No, no, no. That's something you need to know as well. That it's very far because things you will be knowing the data that needs to be here in the files, how that can be stored, reading those files, having those files, returning the data into the modules, applying it on the test cases. That is of lot of knowledge that I cannot be passing in one lecture. That's not possible. That's why there is divisions. So just wait for that so that we reach till that point. Okay, so like this way I can have a workaround to play with the script, one only script, and I want to run it on different browsers. I'm not going into much of it. I'll just will end it with else. I'm not going to work much in the else. If nor it's Chrome nor it's Firefox, then I'll just will open up the WebDriver dot edge. Fine. So this is what needs to be done. After this, I only don't want to open up the browsers. I also want to navigate to some of the URLs. Right. So I told you which command I can use. So that I'll also have. I'll say driver dot get. To this get function, I'll pass on that URL which I want to open. Let's say I want to open flipkart.com. The sale is coming, so flipkart.com. Okay. So this URL I want to open, and I want to open it on Edge browser. So I'll just will save this and I'll execute this particular module. It will open up the Edge browser. It will navigate me to flipkart.com. Okay. Sometimes the manual error comes, like sometimes I forget to have the browser over here. I forget to give the data over here. Then it's going to give me an error that the browser is not defined because it's inside these if conditions. So just to be safe side, the exception handling concept can be put over here. I can say that try in try block, look for if the driver is not blank. If the browser name is not blank, you can say if browser is not equals to blank, then only go and execute this command. And to end it, I have to have an except block. In any case some exception occurs, it will be stored in the exception block over here, and I can just print the exception that has came up over in the stack error. That also I can do. So you can see over here in the taskbar just below I have four of the browsers open uselessly. They don't have any function now. Their function has been done. I don't want, if I run my test case for around 20 times, I don't want 20 browsers to open. So for this, there's a good practice that at the end of every test case of every script, you add this command. That is the driver.quit command. The quit command actually closes all the browsers under the session at one go. Even if I have 15 browsers open in a single session, they all will be closed by this quit command. Fine, so it is a good practice to have it. If I'll run this again, it will open up the Edge browser. It will navigate me to flipkart.com. Okay, it has not ran. So the browser was blank. You can see the browser was blank to some no flipkart.com has been opened. So over here, I'll just will pass it. And now this time it's routing me to flipkart.com, navigating me to this website, and it closed automatically. In case of Chrome and in case of Edge, the browsers automatically close after the successful execution, but Firefox, if there is any successful execution as well, the Firefox does not close itself. So in that case, this command is very useful. Okay, any questions? Yeah. Yeah, no. See, else condition is that in any of the condition, if I'm checking multiple conditions I'm checking, if none of them matches, it will automatically come to else part. It went to else, no? It opened my Edge browser. Yeah. I- This is just to make sure, because if I like I didn't had any value in the browser in the previous run, right? So at that time, at this point when it's opening the URL, it will give me an error that there is no such driver defined. So just to make sure that my code does not terminates unexpectedly, at that time only I'll just will have it in the try catch block. Even if some error has come, normally terminate my code, not unexpectedly. That is for try catch block. Okay. Okay. So any questions, any other questions or doubts from your end? Yes, yes, exactly. Because if I'll start it directly and I'll go with the project, I'll directly say, let's start with the hybrid project. And then I have a number of commands being executed. You won't be able to get any of the command, right? So it's a sequence that has been planned. Today we have done the basic thing to open up a browser, to navigate it to something. In the next class, we will be taking it in the form of the test case. Right now, we just have written a script and we ran the script. In the next class, it will be in the form of test case, and how? With the help of the PyTest framework. So PyTest will be covered in the next class. Okay, sure, sure. Okay, so no issues. Thank you and practice this. I'll see you tomorrow in the next class. Have a great day.